supporters of Dave's Tackle Box.
Hello, good evening, welcome to Dave's Tackle Box. It's Sunday, the 9th of June 2030. On tonight's show, we're going to be looking... What's Dave pointing at? Nobody can see you. Oh, you can. Oh, you can. Hang on. Oh, yeah. On tonight's show, I'll be visited by a mystery guest or two. And we're going to be looking actually at a couple of stories that have broken pretty much today, really, so it's pretty topical stuff. One of which is potentially quite a serious matter, and the other one is just an interesting point for discussion. Also going to be taking a closer look at this thing, which I've been enjoying for most of today, actually. It's rather good. But first, we'll start with the titles. And hello everybody. So, right, on my left, which will be your right, is Chris. Hi Chris.
Hello Dave.
How's your garden? How's your garden?
Oh, don't mention it, my back's aching.
That was my next question. How's your back? I trust you've had a good weekend.
Yeah, nice weather, so everybody like a fool heads out in the garden and half of them end up in A&E. I felt as though I could be one of them, but I had a great time. Finished off with a pressure washer, and there's now like a bit of play with a pressure washer.
They are good fun. They are good fun. Do you fancy coming and doing my deck?
And dogs running all over the place. It was brilliant, so we all came in soaking.
So a good day then, a productive day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And good evening, Dave. How you doing, mate?
I'm not so bad. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. So, I quite enjoy these formats on a Sunday night. It's a bit more relaxed, isn't it? A bit more relaxed. So, what you been up to?
Shopping.
Fair enough. Have you got a big chopper?
Well, man, it's just like, we're getting the bathrooms done, so we needed a hot stand.
Okay, yeah, all right, fair enough. And did you get... Oh, yes, you were off to IKEA last time I spoke to you.
Yes, I've had some horse balls. They were nice. And,
yeah. Are they back on the menu now, are they?
Oh, well, yes, they are. I don't mind horse balls. You get a good portion.
Yeah, well, they tasted all right, didn't they?
Indeed. Well, I've never been averse to a bit of horse. I like horse. It's nice. Lean meat.
Chewy.
Yeah.
Anyway, right, so we better do this show, I suppose, haven't we? So, as I say, a bit later in the show, I'm going to be taking a look at this thing and doing a review of this thing, and this is the Rock Stogie, and it's rather good, actually. I won't preempt too much, but there's... I want to... Oh, go on, go.
Before we go any further, can we ban Vapor Man, please? He's just said Cat's looking younger, but both Daves are looking older.
Hard to argue with, though, isn't it? To be fair to the lad, it's hard to argue with. Okay, that's it. I'm going. See ya. Okay, right. I want to start actually with something that's potentially quite serious. There was a story started appearing on the forums earlier today, and indeed I got a phone call from Darren at e-cigs asking if I could make people aware of this. They basically Smoktech have ordered a recall of their Groove device. Now I must admit I wasn't sure which it was, because there's a couple of different mods doing the rounds called the Groove, isn't there? But I had a look, and it's that sort of funny shaped one that's some kind of variable voltage thing. But we saw that they were recalling it, and it didn't take long to track down a story and some pictures on the ECF forum. So what I've done is I've just put together a little sort of slideshow of these images, and we can play that whilst we're talking. But apparently what happened here is the guy who owned this one dropped it. He knocked it off his dressing table. It fell, he says, about 3 feet onto a carpeted floor, and this was the result. Have a look at this. You can see that's the carpet. So it burned that rather nicely, and basically it looks like there is a severe problem with this. Some of the theories so far are that because it's metal cased, there's no insulation between that and the battery, so it only takes the slightest sort of jolt, and this can be the result. And some of these pictures are kind of spectacular. Now obviously Smok appear to have done the right thing, and they've launched a product recall. And I think there's just one more picture, and we'll get back onto the screen. There you go. So we've got a couple of bits of advice to pass on. Now, as I say, Darren from e-cigs wants you to contact him. Please don't return these things through the post. That is not a clever thing to do. But if you contact the vendor from which you bought yours, if you've got one of these, they'll tell you what they need to do, what you need to do. Now, oops, sorry, Wirecast is playing up a little bit there. So it's the other thing that you got to remember not to do is don't use it. You know, I'd remove any device that's on the top of it, any atomizer or anything you've got, and put it somewhere sort of safe, and contact your retailer tomorrow morning, and they should have some instructions on what to do. If for any reason you don't get a satisfactory answer, and I would suggest that a satisfactory response from your retailer is I'll give you a full refund, then e-cigs are on the case. So I'm just going to get rid of Dave for a second here and pop this up on the screen if I can find it. So on the e-cigs website, it's the main story on there at the moment. They're saying on the 9th of June, Smoktech has confirmed that the Groove might have a safety defect. You don't say, having seen those pictures, due to a product design, and they've issued an immediate recall. If you own a Groove, you must contact the vendor you bought this from, as Smoktech is encouraging vendors to issue a 100% refund on these items. And the red bit there says, stop using the item immediately. If you're having any issues getting a refund or cooperation from the vendors, please raise a ticket with e-cigs, and it gives you a link there. The URL to get to where I am at the moment is ecigsuk.org. And they've got those pictures that I just showed you on the link there as well. So contact your vendor. If you don't get the response that you want, then contact e-cigs and they'll attempt to help you out, is the way I interpret that. So we wanted to just pass that message along. It doesn't happen very often, does it, Dave, this kind of thing?
Not very often at all. I think in terms of confirmed, how would we call it, violent outgassings, they're very, very few and far between in the e-cig world. Probably more prevalent actually in laptops and smartphones and that kind of thing. And
Indeed.
it looks as though it's a similar kind of layout that's gone the journey. It's a plastic shelled LiPo.
Yes, it apparently does use the LiPo batteries. And the one thing I've read a couple of times today on the various forums as well, a good thing to do with it if you've got one that's playing up is give it a saltwater bath.
Yes.
Which apparently will deplete the batteries and render it safe. But it's probably, if you've got the opportunity, better to call your retailer, whoever sold it to you, and check with them first before you go doing anything. So I'd see Darren from Safe Cigs is posting in chat there at the moment, and he's saying it has been recommended is to place it in a bucket filled with salt water outside, and that'll kill the batteries. So that kind of confirms. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't think there's only one reported incident that's made the forums. It may be that Smoktech have had a couple of others. It could be, just bad luck. But if they're recalling it, then it doesn't make sense to use it until you've got it replaced or with whatever. So I was hunting around the forums, and Smoktech are obviously going to see the vendors okay, and the vendors should definitely see you okay. In Darren's case, I know that's true because he called me to tell me. So
Spring's asking whether there's any view on how much salt a lot.
I would have said probably as much as you can fit in. The whole idea is so that the water doesn't conduct properly, isn't it?
The more salt you've got in, the better it conducts. Is the bottom line on it. So a fair amount. If it tastes like seawater, put the same amount of salt in again, and that'll just make it that much more conductive, and it'll deplete the batteries quicker. It also means that if they do decide to go fizz and bang, they'll do it underwater, and it won't last for very long and won't hurt anybody that way. But it does look as though there's been a design fault. As I say, with it being the plastic shelled LiPos, it'll be exactly the same as dogged so many smartphones and laptops.
Yeah. Absolutely right. It can happen. Now, there's two different versions, I understand, of this Groove mod. There's the metal cased one, and I believe that the plastic cased ones have been recalled as well. Maybe Daz can confirm that. So it looks like it's not as simple as the case shorting it out. So
can I just interrupt?
Of course.
Daz from Safer Cigs has said once dead, they can be returned. Postage cost will be refunded.
There you go.
So that's a good bit of important information.
Yeah. Now, obviously, Daz is talking for his company, Safer Cigs.
Yes.
So that's why I stress contact your vendor and work out what needs to be done. They should see you right on this.
Indeed.
And yes, he's just confirmed all variants of the Groove have been recalled. Okay. All right then. So. If you've got any more sort of queries or questions on that, we've got Daz in the chat room there. So shout them out and we'll attempt to answer them for you as the show goes on. But I think we've given that enough coverage. I think we should move on to something else. Now, what I'm tempted to do at this point, guys, is show my little Stogie review.
Go for it.
Shall I do that?
Why not?
Where's the camera? It's over there. Because I think this camera's playing up and I want to sort it.
All right.
This is a review of this thing. Enjoy. I'm going to take a look at something a bit unusual compared to the things that I normally review. I got a message about a week ago now from Greg at Rock Electronic Cigarettes, and asking me if I'd be interested in taking a look at a new product that got on the market. And when I got home from work on Friday night, I had a couple of these waiting for me. The box says it's the Rock Electronic Cigar, and well, I haven't opened it up yet. Let's do it on camera now. So this is the packaging that the Rock Stogie, I like that, the Rock Stogie electronic cigar arrives in. It's a very nice presented box. It's got tamper-proof little seals at each end, so you can tell if somebody's been in there before you. I'm just going to cut that seal and have a look inside. Now, okay, my first thing I notice is that is actually very like a traditional combustible cigar. It's got a cellophane wrapper, so we'll get rid of that. And it's like a paper surround, so it feels, actually, it does feel quite like a real cigar. It's quite uncanny. I mean, obviously it's got this thing which I guess is going to glow when I inhale. I've no idea what colour, even if indeed it does. It's got a rubber plug in the end, which in the little leaflet that came with it that I was sent, it says keep it fresher for longer. Not sure about that. More likely stop it oozing liquid. But we'll see. Right, apparently it's going to produce great clouds of thick vapour and a nutty, woody, even toasty overtone with a hint of cedar and cream. Yeah, right, like I'd recognise that even if it did. But basically this is ready to go. It's a 900 milliamp hour battery. You don't refill it. It looks like it would be quite difficult to do that if you chose to. First of all, you'd have to take all this paper wrap off it by the looks of things. But they reckon it'll give about 1100 puffs, delivering a great throat hit. The weight of the thing is 36 grams and it contains about 2.5 ml of a liquid at 16 milligram strength, 1.6%. There you go, that's all the technical details. Oh no, there's some more. It's 11.5 centimetres long with a 36mm girth. There you go. I think we better give this a go, hadn't we? Okay. Since I just moved the camera away from the desk to pointing at my face, I still haven't tried this yet, but I also read that the light at the end glows blue, and I'm quite pleased about that. Still think that the red glow, it just makes it easier for the critics, doesn't it? It looks like a real one, and let's be honest, this does look like a real one. So here goes. Now, I enjoyed the occasional cigar when I smoked, you know, just sort of special occasions, and like normally after business meals and things like that. It's sort of the convention was to have a cigar before the smoking ban, obviously. But I was never a connoisseur, and anybody that watches my reviews or Vapor Trails TV will know that I'm not very good at flavour reviews either. So don't expect much as I try this. But let's give it a go, see how it works. Well, as you can see, there's no problem at all in the vapour department. Now, it's quite a mild strength of juice at 1.6% or 16 milligram. Compared to what I would normally use, but I'm still getting a throat hit from it. The taste and smell of the juice, the flavour, is very cigar-like, and as I say, I'm just not a connoisseur of cigars. I never was, never will be. But this, it seems authentic to me. It reminds me of smoking a cigar. I like it, actually. I'm quite liking it. I feel very Winston Churchill. Now the paper it's wrapped in is obviously some kind of it's not just paper, otherwise it would go soggy, but I'm almost tempted to put my tongue on the end of it, but no, I'll be disappointed when I don't taste the tobacco like I used to. I have to say that this pretty much does what it says on the tin. It's very satisfying. I mean, it's working well. I mean, for a disposable device of any description. I'm sure you would agree that there's no complaints about the amount of vapour it's producing. I like it. I do, I like these. Well, there you go. So that's the Rock Stogie. You'll be able to get that from rockuniversal.co.uk. I'm not sure about the pricing. I probably should have checked beforehand. But if you want something that tastes like a cigar and looks like a cigar, I think that's probably going to fit the bill. Thanks for watching. And welcome back. So yeah, that's the Rock Stogie, and I haven't been able to put the thing down. I mean, I filmed that, it must have been about lunchtime today, and it's just bloody great. And you've tried a similar one to this, you said, Dave?
Yeah,
something
cool.
similar. I mean, it's a 900 milliamp hour battery, and to be honest with you, that doesn't really matter that much, because I reckon the juice will probably go before the battery anyway. But it's just really realistic and hard to put down. Yeah, so thanks to Greg at Rock for sending that across. I'm enjoying it rather a lot. Let's take a break. We'll be back in a minute and a bit.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box. Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
And welcome back. Now, as I explained last week, one of the reasons for this format of show is because it's quite difficult for me at the moment to stay in touch and actually prepare a show, because normally, and I'm sure Dave will bear me out on this, normally what happens with your weekly show is you kind of gather your ideas and your material over the course of the week, and you may even like record a bit here and there, and then on the final day you kind of pull it all together. But I haven't really had a great deal of time because I only got off the plane on Friday night, and I'm back out again tomorrow morning. So Cat and Dave have kindly agreed to basically update me on what's been going on during the week. Now, that said, I did get a chance to watch VT Talk, because that's the first thing I do as soon as I get a free hour. It's actually a bit quicker than that if you skip through the ads. Probably shouldn't say that, should I? It remains the best way to, in sort of an hour, you can be up to date with anything important that's happened during the week. So credit to you, Dave, for continuing to put out such a good show on a Wednesday night, mate.
Thank you.
And I watched it earlier on today with my Stogie in my hand, and I was listening to the guys from Eka and yourself talking about well, first of all, the NICE report, but secondly, this Daily Mail shenanigans. Now, I saw so you roped Chris in mid-show to try and figure out what happened there. Just a very quick summary. What happened with the Daily Mail? To Chris, maybe. What happened?
Basically, it was one of them things. They roll a report out at maybe 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Whether they've taken it from another website or whatever. And that was the case with this one. And the headline was quite complimentary to e-cigs. But
right, it suggested that that NICE, what is that, the National? No.
Oh,
it's the national. Basically, it's the National Institute for Clinical Excellence.
Health and Clinical Excellence, isn't it? Yeah. That's it. The National Institute for Health and Clinical Excellence. So the headline originally at 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was suggested that they were recommending to doctors to recommend e-cigs to patients.
Yeah, words to that effect. Yeah.
Right. But then it changed.
It did. By 9:30 the next morning, the headline was significantly different, although the article was much the same, although somebody said there were some bits missing. I didn't find those.
Right.
So it was merely the headline had been changed is all that I really found.
And what did it change to, remind me?
I can't remember. What was it, Dave? Can you remember?
It went along the lines of that you can use both, and I have to use the term properly these days, licensed nicotine-containing products.
Yes, I did get the gist of that bit,
That was the big thing, yeah.
You can use licensed nicotine-containing products alongside cigarettes, and it won't kill you. And also there is no possibility of nicotine overdose. But basically, it went from everybody get an e-cig because they're better for you to, get licensed nicotine-containing products, and doctors will tell you to do that before they tell you to pack in. Basically, that was pretty much the gist. That was the move from it. But
yeah, that was the word of the week, wasn't it? Licensed.
Yes.
Nicotine-containing products, yes. We used it quite a lot on Wednesday night because we were trying to make Lorian vomit.
yes, I remember that bit.
Yeah.
I mean, that is... I mean, it's classic Daily Fail for a start, isn't it? But somebody got at them, didn't they? Somebody nobbled them.
Well, they'd kind of been pre-nobbled from the day before, because the Groniard, that well-known spelling mistake...
I know the one.
Had run a piece where Robert West, who's one of the bigwigs at NICE, had been saying you ought to be using e-cigs, and one of the doctors, who's one of the bigwigs at NICE and on the panel, had said he would be recommending to all of his smoking patients that they switch to e-cigs. So I think the Daily Fail reporter had been reading that and thought, oh right, that's what the NICE guidance says. To be fair, there's 103 pages of this. There's a lot, but it says the same thing time after time after time after time. But yeah, they've kind of said e-cigs. Well, we think they might be all right, but as yet we don't have enough evidence to come out and say they're definitely all right. But so doctors, if you're asked by your patient, are e-cigs all right, you can say, well, yes, but we just don't know what the MHRA is going to say. But we'll know what the MHRA is going to say within the next 2 weeks.
Right, and yeah, I bet him man would know what the MHRA are going to say anyway.
Well, you might think that, yes. Yes, you might indeed.
Yes.
And apparently there was a big meeting with Ash on Thursday or Friday. Friday, I think it was.
Right.
No,
Tell me about this.
Well, Ash was hosting some kind of conversation, I'll call it that, to discuss the NICE guidelines and what had been published and so on and so forth. And I discovered about this because I got a tweet telling me that part of one of my videos that I'd cut for the MEPs and the Tom Riddington thing had been played by Peter Hayek to the assembled throng, to mixed reactions, it should be said.
Right, you're going to have to enlighten me. Who's Peter Hayek?
Peter Hayek is a great proponent of e-cigs. He is much like Jean-Francois Etter.
Right.
Not from the same place. He's an investigator into e-cigs, a researcher into them. He's got all of the necessary qualifications, you know, medical doctor and all of that kind of stuff. And he, like Etter, has done an awful lot of research into smoking, nicotine, and so on and so on and so forth. And he's a big proponent of e-cigs, and he doesn't think they should be medicalised either.
I tell you what, all these sort of experts saying that they shouldn't be medicalised, I'm starting to wonder if they shouldn't be medicalised.
I think they probably shouldn't be medicalised. my gut feeling is that medicalisation of e-cigs is probably a bad thing. I think actually it would be dangerous and deleterious, not only to the market but to the health of the nation as well. But mind you, having said that, over the last few days I've been getting more and more grumpy because these powers that be, they're just smacking down on everything. I mean, there was that piece, was it yesterday, where apparently you can only have 2 pints of beer a year, otherwise you're going to get cancer.
I caught the headline on this. I mean, this is utter crap, isn't it?
Apparently they've got evidence to say that alcohol is carcinogenic. So that's
right.
Fats are carcinogenic, alcohol's carcinogenic, fat is carcinogenic,
Yeah.
sugar is carcinogenic,
Yeah.
And apparently the act of pleasuring your wife
I saw this one. I saw that. Was it Michael Douglas, was it?
Michael Douglas, yes. It's now been known as, hello pet, do you fancy a Michael Douglas? And apparently that's carcinogenic. So as I said before the show, that's everything in my life that I enjoy causes cancer. Might as well shoot us now because I'm not going to stop.
Exactly. You know, I mean, going back to the alcohol thing. I mean, that patently that's got to be ridiculous. I mean, people have been drinking beer since the Dark Ages.
Well, I think this is all to do with the information that was released Friday that says that outside of non-smokers, 1 in 2 people get cancer.
Right.
Outside smokers, 1 in 2 people get cancer. Smokers, 1 in 2 people get cancer. So apparently it's all level pegging. So I think there's a lot of people out there that think, well, we've reduced the number of smokers by bazillions. We need to find something else to blame. What else is there that we don't like other people enjoying?
Well, you have to wonder, don't you? You have to wonder. I mean, so is that right, though? They're now claiming that non-smokers have got the same risk of cancer as smokers?
Yes.
But that basically belies everything that they've been telling us pretty much throughout my entire life.
Yes.
Guys, can I interrupt?
Of course.
I thought I would put the link in chat for the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
Right, that article. So I searched for it, and if you look in chat, you will see the link. Please read the title of it.
It says e-cigs are the safer option.
It does, but if you actually click on that and look at the article, it does not.
So, okay, so they haven't updated their little index.
They haven't updated the meter tags either. It'll be like a WordPress site.
Yeah, that's what they've done.
Puts the meter tags in when you first put the page up.
Fantastic.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Only the Daily Mail.
Only the Daily Mail. Good one.
Dear, oh dear. I mean, I find that absolutely shocking, you know. I mean, it doesn't really matter why they changed it. The fact that they got themselves into a situation where they had to change it is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it seems fairly obvious to me that somebody somewhere had something to say, and that the hotline to the editor was ringing itself off the hook, and he'd pick the phone up and, "Hello, Daily Mail editor speaking," and from the other end would have come, "This is Fortescue Smile at the Department of Health, and you're misrepresenting what NICE has been saying. We demand of you that you change this and become factually correct, dear boy. Otherwise, we'll have Levison come round and whip you, and not purposely."
And not in the political sense, yeah.
So,
Oh dear, oh dear. Okay. Yeah, and the other thing that you were looking at on Wednesday night I saw was Glenys, bless her.
oh, yes.
And, you know, I'm her constituent, remember? You know?
Have you had a letter from her lately?
I've had nothing from Glenys lately.
Oh, she apparently, either she's changed her tune, or one of her interns is going to get the Glenys foot up the backside at a great rate of knots. Because, yes, if you remember the letter, it more or less went to great lengths to explain what Linda McCavan is doing and Amendment 1250. Just say no to 1250, by the way. And she seems to be espousing all of that, which just does not ring true in any way, shape or form. If it is true, well, who can say?
Well,
there could be some Michael Douglasing going on in her house.
and no, that just perished the thought, man. That's he sat around with the mind bleach.
It all got used on Wednesday, I think.
Right, okay. Well, I think that thank you for that sort of catch up and everything. I appreciate that. I think this might be a good time to plug the knees meet, because it's only 2 weeks away now, isn't it?
It is?
3 weeks? 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Oh.
3 weeks yesterday.
Oh, I thought it was
like
2
20
weeks.
days.
2 weeks and 6 days.
That's better than 3 weeks.
Well, it is. I mean, it's like 1999, isn't it? Isn't 20 quid? It's 2 weeks and 2 weeks and 6 days.
Yeah, that makes it all clear.
Well, I mean...
And welcome back. Sometimes I wish I had a little tape recorder or something running for these conversations that take part when trailers are playing and the ads are running. But I value my life, so I'm not going to repeat the conversation we just had there, am I, Chris?
No, I'll kill a lot of you.
Let's just
Let's
suffice it to say that it involved women's shopping habits. And with that, we'll take our second break. Back in a minute and a half.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
iVapour and iVapour Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iVapour.co.uk and iVapour-elixir.co.uk. iVapour and iVapour-elixir.co.uk are proud sponsors of vaportrails.tv.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tackle Box.
And welcome back to what we like to call part 3. Now, before we're going to have a look in a minute at a little story that was sort of kicking off on the forums earlier, and I did a bit of digging around. Something about the suggestion of price fixing, and that's a definition that I've picked out, because that can mean several different things. But before we do that, Chris wanted to give us a little update on what remind me what it was.
It's the Janty Clearo Clearomizer.
Right, and you've got a little update for us because you're a week wiser on this one.
Yeah, I'm a week wiser on it, and I'm just going to be very quick, guys, because it's only fair that if you look at something when you've just taken it out the box, that you give it a bit of a go and then see if your first impressions are still the same. And mine are still the same.
Okay.
I don't like this tip, and I'll tell you why. It's not the fact that it's too big or any of the things that some people like about them. It's the fact I don't use bottom button mods. So I've got to search around or feel around for my switch, and the switch invariably is not lined up with the tip.
Now
and unlike some,
that's an
interesting
point
Dave?
you make there. That is an interesting point. I'm going to interject there because I like flat tips and I use them with the Genesis atomizers. And I don't know whether you'll be able to see on that, but you see where the hole is on the Jenny. I make the tip. I turn the tip to line up with that. So in the dark, all I've got to remember is which side of the device the button should be, and I know that I'm tipping it with the wick at the bottom.
This
So,
I
can be an
haven't
advantage.
found a way of turning that without the whole thing turning.
Yeah.
And you know what happens if you over tighten something on any product? You're not doing it any favours.
That's very true.
The other thing I mentioned last week, it's a top feeding coil, and this particular tank, I don't know whether you can see it on there, guys, but it has a grey look to it at the bottom. The perspex is greyed.
Yeah, I can see that.
Almost to black at the bottom. Right, if you're going to try one of these, and yeah, they're excellent flavour-wise, all those things, really, really good. Never let it get below that level. Because if you do, with it being a top coil, you've got to keep tipping it upside down all the time to feed, or you get that dry, burnt flavour.
Okay.
So that's my update. It's still a good product, a little bit outdated, I think. But if they'd looked at some of the design things, they might have been a little bit better off. Okie doke.
Okay, no, thank you for that, Chris. So you're not exactly saying it's shite?
No.
No?
I'm not exactly saying that, because... No.
I got you.
It has problems. I mean, it certainly has what I was told, which was flavour. But as I say, I don't like having to keep topping up. It basically means that you're putting in, you know, not even a mil at a time. So
Right.
it's not wonderful doing that.
Okay, all right. No, that's invaluable. I reckon I'm probably going to try one because I'm like that. You know, I hear people say this, you know, isn't that great, and then I buy them anyway. That's basically what I do.
Because everybody's different. We all like different things.
Indeed. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to now switch to something else. Like I say, I saw a little post. It was actually Miles Dolphin posted it in the Vapor Trails TV forum eventually, after the anti-spam measures I'd managed to turn them off so they didn't keep deleting his messages for him. A little story about Inikin, who posted a message on their website about a retailer, a website called Fasttech. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that up on screen now, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. So this is the Inikin website, and it's I'll read it out to you. It's not very long. I've actually got the wrong one. It is the original one. It says, "To whom it may concern, we've received continuous feedback from customers recently that website name Fasttech selling our products at much lower prices than the MSRP, so they're basically the MRP. After investigation, we have never found this website buy any products from us. We hereby inform our customers, in order to protect yourself from fake products and enjoy product warranty, please do not buy products from this website. Inikin is not responsible for copycat products." Now, that's pretty sort of fierce stuff. That they're basically accusing at that point Fasttech of selling knockoff Inikin gear. The statement went on a bit to say, you know, how good their reputation was and how popular their stuff was, and I've got to be honest, I've got the Inikin. It's the MVP, the brick one. And that's I take that to me when to the hotel when I'm travelling. It's brilliant because it lasts for ages. It's got variable voltage. It's got an ego thread on it. You can use it with just about anything you want. It is a great product, but they're accusing people there of selling fake products because they're so cheap. And they've even accused directly this Fasttech website. Now, that got a bit of a reaction on the UK Vapors forum I saw, because a lot of people are using Fasttech and saying, hey, no, this isn't fake. This is genuine Inikin gear, you know, and they're selling it cheaper than anybody else that is selling Inikin gear. Now, later on in the day, also, I think it was Miles actually spotted that they posted this, which is the thing that I showed you that I shouldn't have initially, and now I can't even find the shot. There it is. You were on briefly there, Chris, because I pressed the wrong button. It's all right, you weren't doing anything embarrassing, it's okay.
All right.
So later on in the day, they posted a supplementary statement regarding Fasttech. It says, "We Inikin make the following statements in response to the pricing discussion about Inikin products Fasttech sell. 1. As we all know that it is very difficult to avoid faking products on the internet, Inikin will fight firmly against fake products and try our best to protect the interests of our consumers and distributors." So that's fairly sort of obvious, I would have said. "We sell our products to our distributors at the same prices. Maintaining the retailing price will not result in maximising our profit. On the contrary, if Fasttech are selling our products, the more they sell, the more profit we can make. As a manufacturer, large sales is the key to ensure our profit. But being a responsible brand, indulging fake products or unreasonable pricing sellings, and you know they're not English speakers, obviously, will cause damage to the whole market." So basically, they've switched there from saying that they're fake products, and they're now saying no, they're real products. Okay, they weren't fake after all. Sorry about that, but they're selling them too cheap. You know, and they're trying to justify the point by saying, you know, we're not just being petty, because if they sell them cheaper, they'll sell more and we'll make more profit. But what they're obviously saying there is that they originally called Fasttech out for selling below their recommended price. Now, there is a term, which is, I'll just get us all back on the screen there. I don't have as many computers as Mr. Dorn. I have to do things like that. Work relatively smoothly, though. But what we're seeing there, Dave, because I know we touched base on this briefly earlier, we're seeing Inikin trying to discredit a vendor for selling stuff below their recommended price.
Yes.
Yeah, and let's face it, let's be honest about this. You and I know we bought directly from another Chinese supplier. It was Bogue or Boge, however you want to pronounce it, some time ago. We bought the minimum order quantity, which I think was about a dozen of those Revolution things. Do you remember when they first came out?
I do indeed.
You, me and Tim went in on them. This was in 2010, if I remember rightly. And we bought a dozen of them. And of course, we got all the. They assumed we were a retailer, and they told us, you know, this is the minimum price you can sell them for. And I remember us having a chat about that at the time and saying that's just ridiculous. You can't do that.
It's illegal.
Well, I'm not sure if it is illegal because I mean, let's face it, it goes on. And okay, we're calling Inakin out for it, and we're calling Bogue out for it. Let's. The big one is Joytech, of course.
Of course.
If you look at the official price of the Ego, you know, and the way that they insist on that, people, what invariably happens for anybody that doesn't know is that if you buy your Egos directly from Joytech, then they will insist that you sell them at a minimum recommended price, and if you don't, they won't sell you any more. So you won't get to sell that many. It's that simple. But what happens is they kind of find their way in through other European countries and through the back door. They're grey imports, that's what they are. Grey imports are not illegal. It happens with cars, it happens with stereo equipment, it happens with computers, it happens with camera gear. This big camera that you can't actually see, but it's pointing at me from my right hand side here, is a grey import. They didn't even want this sold in the UK, this one. It was only for Eastern Europe. So you know, it happens in all sort of industries and all sectors. But I don't know if it is actually illegal, but it's bloody immoral, isn't it?
Price fixing is illegal.
Well, there's two definitions of price fixing, isn't there? There's the one that people are always getting pulled up for. It's the supermarkets normally, isn't it? I mean, milk was the classic example, wasn't it? All the supermarkets got together, decided on the minimum price they were going to sell milk for, and they fix that price. That's illegal, isn't it? But I'm not sure whether it is actually illegal for a manufacturer to say you can't sell that below a certain price. I mean, the car industry is the best example I can think of. You can't buy a BMW below a certain price anywhere because BMW fixed the price.
Oh, BMW fixed the price by the price they sell to the dealer at. And what you might do, the cheapest price you can buy a BMW at is trade. And that's it. But then the dealer will get a bonus back from BMW. I used to work in the car trade doing computers, so I know how all of this works. And they don't fix prices. They just set the wholesale price, if you want to call it that, so high that you can't just go below that. There's not the amount of profit everybody thinks there is in a car. Indeed, it's called metal profit.
That's true. That's a fair comment. But you know, thinking specifically about these e-cigs, you know, if you look at the price, and you know, we've all done it. The Inakin MVP, when that came out, had a retail price, I don't know, was it about 60 quid or something? Might even been a little bit higher. But there was a particular website, who I'm not going to drop in it, where I got mine from, UK based, was selling it like 30% less than everywhere else. And basically they're trying to stamp this out.
Yeah, I mean, Gary's just posted a beautiful piece in chat, if I may read it out. It says, the manufacturer's suggested retail price, MSRP, list price or recommended retail price of a product is the price which the manufacturer recommends that the retailer sell the product. The intention was to help to standardise prices amongst locations. While some stores always sell at or below the suggested retail price, others do so only when items are on sale or closeout clearance. Suggested pricing methods may conflict with competition theory as it allows prices to be set higher than they would otherwise. And that's exactly the problem here.
It is, isn't it? And, you know, I mean, I think the most prominent example I can think of in recent months has been the Joy e-cigs. Yeah, where if you want to go to the way this basically works is the Chinese manufacturers will they're only guaranteed to back up their warranties with the retailers if they've been sold according to their terms. That's what they're suggesting. So if you actually buy one cheaper, a grey import if you like from somewhere else, then the vendor could end up in trouble basically. We've had a product recall tonight. Makes me wonder how many of those vendors are going to get stuck with the bill for this.
Well, there is that, but that's unfortunately due to the sale. Well, fortunately or unfortunately due to the Sales of Goods Act. That's the way it works. The prime source of recourse is the vendor. It's where you bought it from. That's your first port of call, not the manufacturer.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. It's the vendor's problem, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I mean, but the thing is, if the vendor is prepared to accept that as being an issue, if they're prepared to underwrite what they're doing, then it's up to them to set the price that they sell at. Because it's not a difficult sum, is it, really? You buy something for £10, sell at £11, you is a happy bunny. You buy something for £10, sell at £9, you is going bankrupt. That's the line. And if 10% on top is enough for a vendor, then that's cool. Now, I've seen this in action, actually in the flesh, not with e-cigs, but in another market. A mate of mine has a shop, I won't say where, that does disco gear and lighting gear and stuff like that. And I happened to be in there when the rep was in for this particular make of deck. And he came in and he said, "You're selling that too cheap." He said, "I'm not. He said, I'm paying 120 quid for it. I'm selling it at 180 quid. I'm making 60 quid on every unit, and they're going out on piece." He said, "Yeah, but nobody else can sell any at the suggested retail price." Do you know what the suggested retail price was?
No.
£640.
Yeah, I know businesses where that kind of markup is normal. Yeah. Doesn't shock me.
And this mate of mine said, "Look, I only need to make 60 quid a unit. That's all I need to make. And I'm not going to put my prices up." And he said, "Well, it's dead simple. Your account's closed."
Yeah, and I've had that happen to me as well. I've had that happen to me with multi-tools. In fact, the prices are kept artificially high. Most of the big sort of tool and knife manufacturers in the UK are supplied through one import company, and they fix the prices. And if you sell below it, they chop you.
Yep.
So I can only think that it can't be illegal, therefore, because it's so bloody prevalent. But it's certainly immoral. You know, I mean, it's surely up to each individual retailer to decide what margin that is acceptable to them.
Well, absolutely it is. And I mean, if you've got a bricks and mortar store or something like that, given the way the uniform business rates are and so on and so forth, your prices are going to be higher than somebody that's drop shipping.
Yeah.
Can I be devil's advocate here?
Of course.
About 2-3 weeks ago, I spotted somebody on UKB posting that they wanted to do a group buy of the SVD from Innikin.
Right.
And before you know it, there was loads and loads of people say, "Yeah, I'll have one. What's the price going to be?" "I'm just waiting to hear from Innikin," the guy said. And he eventually got a reply from Innikin who said, "No, we don't supply the group buys. The reason being, it would detract sales from vendors purchasing from them."
Yeah.
So there's another side to this argument, that in a way it's protecting the vendor's livelihood. Just thought I would point that one out.
It's absolutely reasonable to do that, Chris, and to a large degree, if it's done sensitively, it does do that. I mean, I would hate to think that my preferred suppliers were going to go out of business because they were being undercut by the amount that Fastech is undercutting UK sellers. I mean, I've seen in chat, somebody's bought an SVD from Fastech for 27 quid, and I believe they're around 75 in the UK. That's a hell of an undercut.
Yeah.
And it could lead to a situation where UK vendors are left with no product to get because group buys and these places like Fastech are selling so damn cheap. That said, I think there needs to be a lot more leeway on the likes of Innokin and Joytech and various others refusing to supply. I mean, I don't get this whole, approved supplier malarkey. I mean, to me, if you're wholesaling and somebody wants to buy your minimum order quantity, that's it, you sell them it.
Yeah.
We're out of time, guys, by the way.
Okay. I'll tell you what, that's maybe one that we'll pick up and maybe do a bit of digging and research. It's a subject that's close to my heart because I had a little business going where I was doing precisely what Fasttech are doing, and then I found I couldn't buy any more goods so, for exactly the same reason. So I get quite emotive talking about that one. But it does just show that there's there's more than one side to every story. But yeah, okay. We gave it some got a bit of the mental juices flowing there slightly, didn't we?
Yeah, no such thing as bad publicity. I'm on Fasttech shopping now.
Jeff Benyon, in that situation where I buy Apple products, I'm only buying the best.
Well, another comment I saw on UKV earlier, and this is a bit mischievous, I probably shouldn't say this, somebody picked out the point and said, but Pravari do this, but because we all like Pravaris, it's okay. So, yeah, okay, we're well and truly over time, but I blame Kat. She was the one that wanted to interject at the end there, or we'd have finished on time, wouldn't we, Dave?
We would.
We were running perfectly to schedule there.
Yeah.
That's fault.
I think we'd better get off air, hadn't we?
Probably.
Let's go.
Can I just say to everybody, thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. Try and ignore the noise in the background. We'll be here. We'll be here again, same time, same place next week, Sunday 9 o'clock. Don't forget to tune in for Tin Your Tip with Gary Dibley tomorrow. Until then, I'll say good night and thanks for watching.
Cloud9 Vaping, sponsors of Dave's Tap Box.